Folks, the long-standing tensions within the Democratic Party all the way since Bernie Sanders first announced his candidacy back in 2015. They escalated with the election of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib, and others. They have fully boiled over officially really today, but this has been coming for a long time. Let's break it down because this is some pretty crazy stuff that's going on with full, almost real civil war between the Democratic Party and its own left wing. Nancy Pelosi has officially declared war on her own party, folks. Something that she has really failed to do yet against the Republican Party, which I find at least to be pretty sad, scary, and somewhat funny as well at the same time. The fact that she is still inspiring the hopes of millions of young resistors out there is a little bit disheartening, to say the least. Rather shockingly, things really began to get out of control today in an article in The Hill called "Racial Politics Roil the Democratic Party," all about some of the divisions and the rather unnecessary, in my opinion, racial shots that both sides have been taking at each other. Let's break it down. So the article first kind of gets underway with some of the more recent conflicts over race the Democratic Party has been having, or at least in the mind of Jonathan Easley, the author of this piece. Writing, tensions exploded on Capitol Hill this week after Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez accused Pelosi of singling out women of color for criticism as divisions linger over the passage of a $4.6 billion border deal that, if you don't remember, gave pretty much unlimited control to Border Patrol guards who have been proven to be less than humane with their charges to just spend the $4.6 billion whatever they wanted with no kind of limitations whatsoever. Pelosi has been dismissive of the influence on Capitol Hill held by Ocasio-Cortez and three other Democratic Party stars, rising Democratic Party stars, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley, the group of freshman female lawmakers with massive followings on social media. And I think that kind of context needs to be covered by the mainstream media, and it isn't. Pelosi dismissed AOC's bold and widely supported by scientists and, if you look at the polls, by the average people, climate policy plan, the Green New Deal, as the Green New Dream or whatever, which is pretty insane coming from someone who is supposed to be on the same team. Also, she dismissed multiple times the overall power, influence, and validity of the quote-unquote progressive group of the party, saying, quote, they have their public following and their Twitter role, but they didn't have any following. They're 4 people, and that's how many votes they got. While being technically true, it is incredibly dismissive, condescending, and sarcastic to say to people who have supposedly been alive with you and are quote-unquote on the same team and have also brought to the political fold new ideas that have completely changed the way we look at politics today in terms of what is possible, what is normal, and what is standard. And keep in mind, she said this kind of condescending and insulting crap before anyone on the progressive side said anything. That is definitely something that does need to be remembered before kind of understanding the Democratic Party and their relationship with their left wing. The fact is that for a lot of the time, we have been subject, I consider myself somewhat on the left wing of the Democratic Party ideologically, and I'm sure if you look at some of my videos, you will probably tend to agree with me based on what I've said and what I've supported. And I think that's definitely the case. You have to understand through all the calls of unity, the most unified people have been on the left. It was the right wing of the Democratic Party, the far right of the Democratic Party, that organized a speakership challenge to Nancy Pelosi when everyone thought, oh, it's going to be AOC who's been saying all these kind of things. It got so much more coverage in the media. Everyone was talking about that. But still, the only people who kind of got any real resistance up to Nancy Pelosi was those clowns like Seth Moulton and Tim Ryan, who are now somehow running for president, which is insane. And no one's even talking about that and how they're a challenge to Pelosi, which is a little disturbing in my point. It shows exactly what we're up against with the media narratives that are at play here. The article in The Hill then goes on to talk about the quote-unquote long-simmering feud with the Congressional Black Caucus, and it certainly seems like throughout this article, since there's only one member of the Congressional Black Caucus that is quoted, and he happens to be a very, very establishment Democrat, that there is something else at play here. It's not just, what they're trying to paint it as the black representatives of Congress hate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, every single solitary one of them, but only really the guy who's bold enough to put his name out there on the record is William Lacey Clay, who, as you can see here, CBC members such as Clay, quote-unquote, exploded in anger at Ocasio-Cortez. It seems like since Clay is a long-time establishment figure, been around a while, taken a lot of big corporate donors, that he may not be all that comfortable with what Ocasio-Cortez has to offer. Shocker. In this clip here from this Hill article, it's all about pretty much William Lacey Clay responding to the allegations that AOC made recently, talking about how the fact that she, Nancy Pelosi, is responding to and picking on women of color who are progressive. And he really, unsurprisingly, doesn't like that. I think it would have been much better if she made it all about the values instead of about the race, which is something that I really think she did kind of mess up in that category, because it shouldn't be about that. It's about the policies and the inherently threatening nature of these policies that are the problem with the establishment people like both Nancy Pelosi and William Lacey Clay, not the fact that they're women of color, although there are progressives that just do happen to be all women of color. That's just a true fact. But I think she should have left that part out and focused on the policies. That's just me. But William Lacey Clay, unsurprisingly, even has a little bit of a stronger issue with that, making the kind of absurd play that, and the really disingenuous play to add on top of it, that obviously, AOC thinks that Nancy Pelosi is a horrific racist. Oh my God. As a CBC article says, members such as Clay, or the Hill article says, CBC members such as Clay exploded in anger at Ocasio-Cortez for having used the quote-unquote race card and accused progressives of seeking to oust black lawmakers by endorsing their primary challengers. What a shock. Guess who was primary last cycle by Justice Democrats? William Lacey Clay was. What a shock that he doesn't like them and thinks they're primary and quote-unquote black lawmakers because, of course, they're racist. Notice that little gem there. You have Clay exploding in anger at Ocasio-Cortez for having used the race card and accusing progressives, literally in the same sentence, of seeking to oust black lawmakers all of a sudden. Why do they want to oust only black lawmakers by endorsing their primary challengers? That's what they want to do. They want to oust black lawmakers. Get it? Because we're really concerned about people who play the race card. Oh, wow. Like, well, I have never seen something more disingenuous in my entire life. Literally contradiction of the point that was made in the beginning of the sentence comes from the same person speaking at the end of the same damn sentence. The best part of it all is that William Lacey Clay was challenged by Cori Bush, a black woman, and she was endorsed by just Democrats, the party who just wants to take out black lawmakers because they're racist. But again, we can totally get mad at AOC for playing the race card. Like, what a joke. And I don't want to pin this all on the CBC because it seems to be just William Lacey Clay who's doing this. But seriously, what happened to Democratic unity? The question that we'll probably keep asking ourselves long through Democratic Party attacks on the left wing throughout the 2020 election cycle that are sure to continue. Here's the thing. While I apologize for the weird light that's hitting my face right now, I do want to just say that the truth is this. AOC should not have made it about race by saying that Nancy Pelosi is just picking on women of color and should have focused more about the policies. I freely admit that. But the fact that calling AOC a kind of person, literally a Goomba puppet from Mario, which is what a reporter was told by a Democratic aide, that she's quote unquote a Goomba puppet from Mario. Go look that up. They're like they're the puppet characters that have the like the mushroom head type guys. A Democratic aide characterized AOC as one of those, and the fact that these constant attacks keep coming in on AOC and her supporters, like, there needs to be some kind of, if you really want unity, which you clearly don't, you need to really answer for some of those comments because it's just getting out of hand. We're going to keep a close eye on this story for you because it's definitely not going away anytime soon because guess what? AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, they're not going anywhere. So I'm sure the drama and the resistance that comes from the establishment when progressive policies are pushed for, that's definitely not going to go away either.